Look down at your feet. Right now, they are wrapped in the most underrated invention in human history. 40,000 years of engineering went into that little tube of fabric, and you probably paid $3 for it. Today we are tracing the whole story of socks. And trust me, socks have started riots, fought in wars, and seriously annoyed one very famous physicist. I know what you are thinking. It is just a sock. But for most of history, a warm, dry foot was the difference between walking home and not walking at all. So let us rewind 40,000 years. No shops, no looms, just ice, rocks, and very cold feet. How do scientists even know early humans wrapped their feet? Toe bones. Barefoot walkers grip the ground, so their middle toes grow thick and strong. But around that time, human toes suddenly turned slim and delicate. Something soft had come between the foot and the ground. The first socks left their signature inside our skeletons. Now meet Ötzi the Iceman. 5,300 years ago, this man hiked the Alps. In 1991, hikers found him frozen in the ice with his shoes still on. And his footwear was genius. Bearskin soles, deerskin tops, and inside a net stuffed with dry alpine grass. The grass was the sock, got wet, toss it out, stuff in fresh. Researchers actually rebuilt those shoes and went hiking in them. The verdict: surprisingly warm and comfortable. The Stone Age had better insoles than some sneakers today. Fast forward to ancient Greece, around 700 BC. The poet Hesiod writes down history's first sock advice. For winter, line your boots with felt. And here is my favorite plot twist. The word sock comes from comedy. Roman comic actors wore a soft slipper called the soccus. Tragic actors wore tall, dramatic boots. So every sock in your drawer is, technically, a piece of stand-up comedy equipment, which finally explains the ones with pizza prints. Around the year 100, on the freezing edge of Roman Britain, one soldier received history's most famous care package. Archaeologists dug up the letter at Vindolanda Fort. It reads, "I have sent you socks, 2 pairs of sandals and underpants." 2,000 years later, care packages have not changed one bit. Now the oldest surviving socks on Earth. Egypt around the year 300, bright red wool and a split big toe. Why split the toe? So they could be worn with sandals. Yes, socks with sandals is not your dad's crime against fashion. It is a 1,700-year-old tradition. Those red socks live in a London museum now. They were made by looping yarn with a single needle, slow, dense, and 1,000 years before true knitting. And when true knitting finally appeared around the year 1000, also in Egypt, guess what the very first knitted objects were? Socks. Of course they were socks. Welcome to medieval Europe, where legs became the show. Nobles squeezed into skin-tight, colorful hose, sometimes each leg a different color, on purpose. Tighter meant more tailoring, and more tailoring meant more money. Your legwear was literally your bank statement. And the peasants, they wrapped strips of wool around their legs and got on with their lives. Same technology soldiers would still use 1,000 years later. Remember that. It comes back. 1561. Queen Elizabeth I receives a gift, her first pair of knitted silk stockings. Her reaction, as the chronicles tell it, cloth stockings, never again. 28 years later, a village clergyman named William Lee builds the first knitting machine in history. The year, 1589. Legend claims the Queen refused him a patent to protect hand knitters' jobs. Historians shrug, probably a myth. What is documented? England said no, France said yes, and the machine age of socks began. 2 centuries later, those machines made real history. 1811, angry textile workers start smashing them with hammers. The Luddites, that word people use about your uncle and his smartphone, born in a sock factory. Meanwhile, fashion went completely ridiculous. In the 1700s, a gentleman's calf was his profile picture. Skinny legs, no problem. Shops sold padded stockings with built-in fake calves. Caricaturists absolutely destroyed these men in the papers. Some parts of internet culture are much, much older than the internet. Then the engineers took over. 1816, a circular knitting frame, socks become seamless tubes. 1849, the latch needle, and the machines became fast. By the late 1800s, socks stopped being a luxury. For the first time in 40,000 years, warm feet became cheap. And then socks went to war. World War I. In the flooded trenches, constantly wet feet caused trench foot, a condition that took over 74,000 Allied soldiers out of the fight. The best weapon against it was embarrassingly simple: dry socks, changed often. Generals literally begged the public to knit. The American Red Cross delivered over 3.5 million hand-knitted pairs in 20 months. Grandmothers, school kids, even firefighters knitted between calls. Socks were officially war production. 1938. The DuPont company announces a miracle fiber called nylon. Its first product, toothbrush bristles. Its second product broke America. October 1939. One city, 4,000 pairs of nylon stockings, sold out in 3 hours. May 1940, Nylon Day. 4 million pairs hit stores across the country and vanish in 2 days. First year, 64 million pairs sold. Then the war took all the nylon for parachutes, so women painted their stockings on leg makeup, even gravy browning, with a fake seam drawn up the back in eyeliner. Department stores opened leg painting bars. When peace returned, demand simply exploded. Pittsburgh 1946, 40,000 people. A mile of queue, 13,000 pairs. The papers called them the Nylon riots. Now for the plot twist nobody expects. The most stubborn rival of the sock, the foot wrap. Russian soldiers wrapped their feet in cloth rectangles called portyanki for over 300 years. Peter the Great, the Napoleonic Wars, 2 world wars, all of it marched on foot wraps. Wrapped right, they are cheap, dry fast, and fit any foot. Wrapped wrong, instant blisters. Recruits drilled the folding technique like a martial art. Foot wraps survived all the way to 2013, when the Russian defense minister finally ordered, by the end of this year, everyone gets socks. 3 centuries of folding, retired by one signature. Meanwhile, socks kept mutating. Toe socks appeared as a novelty in 1969 and became a full nationwide fad in the 70s, worn with clogs. The 70s were a brave decade. Compression socks came from an engineer with aching legs who noticed pool water squeezed his pain away. So he knitted that squeeze into a sock. Today, marathon runners and nurses swear by them. 1999. A Swiss businessman takes off his shoes at a Japanese tea ceremony and reveals 2 mismatched black socks, one with a hole. Mortified, he invents the sock subscription, months before Netflix subscriptions existed. Today we have smart socks with pressure sensors for runners, and a baby sock that tracks heart rate and oxygen while the baby sleeps. The sock became a medical device. And the global sock market today, around $50 billion a year, not bad for a tube. And now dessert. Albert Einstein refused to wear socks. His own explanation: the big toe always ends up making a hole, so he simply stopped. Relativity, but make it laundry. Where do missing socks actually go? A study commissioned by a washing machine company did the math. People lose about 15 socks a year. Over a lifetime, 1,264. The researchers blamed radiators, gaps behind furniture, and human psychology. The washing machine was officially found innocent. Sure it was. Why do we hang socks at Christmas? Legend says St. Nicholas tossed gold coins for 3 poor sisters down a chimney, and 1 bag landed in a stocking drying by the fire. Unprovable, adorable, permanent. Oh, and the largest sock ever made was almost 10 meters long. Rhode Island, 2011. Yes, there is a world record for socks. Humans are wonderful. So, toe bones, frozen grass, Roman care packages, actual riots, 300 years of army cloth, and a $50 billion industry, all of it hiding in your sock drawer. Socks have outlived pharaohs, queens, and empires. They will outlive us too, probably in odd pairs. If you learned something today, or at least finally respect your socks, hit that subscribe button. I will see you in the next story. Bye-bye.